Now the president's trying to step up. He's trying to do his fair share. After the sequester was announced, he said he's going to stop the White House tours for school children. They had to do this because these cuts were imposed by the sequester. But meanwhile, within a few days, the president finds an extra $250 million to send to Egypt. You know, the country where mobs attacked our embassy, burned our flag, and chanted death to America. He found an extra $250 million to reward them. You know, the country whose president recently stood by his spiritual leader who called for death to Israel and all who support her. I say not one penny more to countries that are burning our flag.
Another secretary, the Secretary of State, he was in Egypt the other day. He offered another $250 million to the Egyptian government, a Muslim Brotherhood-led government in Egypt. Is this something you support?
Well, we have no White House tours right now, but they've got $250 million to give to Egypt, extra beyond the $2 billion we give. I can tell you that people are outraged. When I talk to working class people and they find that their taxes are being sent to a country that burns our flag and chants death to America. Meanwhile, we don't have tours in the White House, and you know what the president's done now? He's closing the entrances to the office buildings up here. And I asked one of the Capitol Hill police today, I said, well, where are they? Are they not working? He said, no, they've just been assigned to other locations. So this Mickey Mouse games that he does, and then he gives $250 million in addition to the couple billion we already give to Egypt, I think it's really a disgrace.
And it's not chump change. We give Pakistan $2.1 billion, Egypt $1.6. We give Libya $13.1 million. Should we yank all of this money from these countries? And what's the basis for deciding who gets aid and who doesn't?
Well, there was a story today, the president of Egypt saying amen to annihilating the Jews. And I don't see giving money to people whose policy is to annihilate the Jews. I also don't see giving money to countries who are allowing the mob to attack our embassy and to burn our flag. So what I ask in my amendment that many of these senators voted against was to make the aid contingent. They have to be willing and able to protect our embassies. Pakistan should turn over the doctor that helped us get bin Laden, and Libya should turn over the people who assassinated our ambassador. I think that's the very least you can do. But we're putting these the senators on notice who voted for this aid and letting them know that we will participate in the election and let their voters know how they voted.
Last evening, I had a spirited exchange with the majority leader. And the exchange is over whether we should send billions of dollars we technically don't even have, to foreign countries that disrespect us, foreign countries who have tortured people who are friends of America. In Pakistan, Dr. Shakil Afridi helped us to get bin Laden. He's been tortured, kept in prison, and now been given a life sentence. I've asked one simple thing. I would like to have 15 minutes, have a discussion, and have a vote on whether or not we should continue to send money to Pakistan. I've said we should send not one penny to Pakistan until this doctor is released. Now, some will stand up and they will argue, well, gosh, we have to be engaged with Pakistan because they have nuclear weapons. I'm not saying disengage. I'm just saying you don't have to bribe people to be your friend. We don't have the money anyway. We got to borrow the money from China to send it to Pakistan. I'm not saying don't have relations with Pakistan. Many in Pakistan have been sympathetic to our country. Many in Pakistan have helped our country. But many in Pakistan, with a wink and a nod, look at us, take our money, and laugh at us. They cash our check and they laugh at us. The American people are tired of this. Our treasury is bare. There are a multitude of reasons why we should not continue to send good money after bad. My position is not one penny more for Libya or Egypt or Pakistan until they act like our allies. So some say we've got to keep sending it. Fine. Let's send it, when they act like our allies. Let's send it when they start behaving like civilized nations and come to their senses.
I'm not for saying we have no relations with Egypt. I'm for friendly relations with Egypt, and as friendly as they want to be to us, we should be. But you don't always have to buy friends, and you don't always have to arm friends. And so I'm concerned, and I think they need to prove that they want to live in the civilized world. Within the last year, Morsi was seen at a prayer meeting with a radical sheikh who was saying death to Israel and death to Israel supporters. Also within the last year, Egypt arrested 16 Americans, held them in the country, threatened not to let them leave the country, and when I rattled the cages and said, we may talk about ending your aid, and when other senators traveled there with that message, all of a sudden the Americans were released. There are still Egyptians being held for political trials in Egypt, and I think it's a big mistake. They need to show they want to be part of the civilized world, and I would make all aid contingent on that. But we don't have to buy England's friendship. We have common cause. We trade with China. We don't have to buy China's friendship. We trade with Russia. We don't have to buy their friendship. Trade is a great thing. We can be a great trading partner.
I was really in agreement with you over, you tried to get your fellow senators, and I was disappointed in some Republican senators, to defund or at least put on hold the money that were given to the 9/11 truther and the guy, the former terrorist that refers to the Israelis as descendants of apes and pigs, Mohammed Morsi. Why are we giving this guy F-16s? Why are we giving him tanks? Why are we giving him $1.5 billion a year?
It's beyond me. And, you know, we've closed down White House tours, but President Obama somehow found $250 million extra to give to the radical Islamic government of Egypt. It makes no sense at all. And I'm trying to get another amendment right now. I have an amendment that would cut off aid to Egypt unless President Morsi publicly reaffirms the Camp David Accord, publicly recognizes Israel, and says that he recognizes the peace treaty, or they get no money. Because I don't think he'll publicly say it. I think he's catering to this radical Islamic mob, and I don't think I'm afraid he will not uphold the treaty, and he ought to publicly say he will do so before he gets any more money.